Welcome to Christian Appiah-Knudsen.
Where I grew up in West Africa, as a child I had one dream, and today that dream was still a little struggle. Courage was what I was learning. Destiny was what I found. I had one dream, and that dream was seeing a car. But doing in the midst of my journey of seeing a car, where I grew up, there was this drum master who makes his business simply on making the drums, and then when you buy the drums, he would just teach you how to play it. And my family was so poor, I couldn't afford a drum. And the kids who are privileged enough to have the drum will come and play and wouldn't even share. So one day I walked out to this man and I said, I would like to have a drum. And he told me, no, I have to learn how to play and I have to pay for it first. I gave him all the excuses in the book and why I can't afford the drum. And that day my life changed. The man said to me, you don't need a drum in order to play your rhythm. You don't need a drum in order to play your beat. I was confused by a man who makes a drum. And he taught me a lesson. That lesson was, I was confused. Why are you letting me doing this? He said, patient. And then he said, I want you to do. So watch and learn. I go from I could go as slow as I wanted. I could go as fast as I wanted. And he said to me right then, everything you need to succeed is within you. You didn't need my drum. And he had me stand right next to him as I played this click sound. The kids that were coming to his class started showing up and they were very amazed. And they said, oh, whoa, how do you do that? And he said, remember, you need to learn how to trade that value. And so I made bets with the kids. If I teach you how I do this thing, I'm going to play your drums for 15 minutes. And that is how I learned to play drums. I didn't even know if I was going to have a drum of my own. And today, I pay a really healthy amount of money to have my own drum. It was a great experience for me. But my dream was reaffirmed by just this event. As a child growing up in West Africa, Ghana, I grew up in a 3-village house. And as a matter of fact, this is the exact house I grew up in. My whole entire village, literally, was a 3 house. My birth mother had such an extremely difficult life where she used to medicate herself with alcohol. As I speak to you today, I can only hear from my left ear. I'm completely deaf from my right ear due to some of her drunkenness beatings that as a child I used to receive from her. My friends in the village used to tease us a lot, me, my brother, my sister, on how we didn't have a father, a mother. And we lived with our grandmother who was old, couldn't afford to take care of us. But she loved us enough to take us into her home. It came to a point in our life that things were very difficult. And as a child, being the oldest out of 3 kids, I have to step in and be the person who could provide for my family. My job, my work was all involving about learning how to become a hunter in order to keep my brother and sister in a small school far away from me, providing food. My dream of wanting to see a car was very far. My why, my motivation of wanting to be somebody vanished because I have one simple why, and that was to provide for my family and my grandmother too. And you know what type of work I did in order to be able to actually become a hunter? These guys, I say, master hunters in the village will put me in a big field. And my goal in the training of learning to become a hunter, they would leave dogs on each corner, hunting dogs, because they wanted to teach me the lifestyle, the skills that I would need in order to survive in the forest in case if anything happened to me. And they would ask me to run to the faraway trees and climb that tree as fast as I could. And when I missed that point, you just guess what happens. I will come back with bloody stomach, bloody arms, and bloody legs from the dog bites. Up to today, I don't like wearing shorts. Because sometimes when I wear shorts, people just stare at my legs without not knowing why. My bloody stomach. I didn't know how to climb the trees. And so instead of giving myself a little bit of chance in order to go ahead and climb it with my legs and go up, I will hug it. And as I'm rubbing it, I get all my cats. Now, maybe some of you here are saying, why would a child that young go through that? It's inhumane. That wasn't what I was thinking. I had one simple why. Like I said, I wanted to provide for my brother and my sister. Because there was an event that happened that made my why even stronger, even though I wanted to see a car. There was a time I went to my aunt, who has actually agreed to take my brother and sister in because my grandmother was too old to take care of us. And my job was to provide meat, food, and all those things to them. And have gone to the forest. And according, my trap literally, you know when they say when it rains, it pours? That day was one of those lucky days where I didn't catch anything. And I went to my aunt's house to tell her that I have no meat this week, so it's going to be a rough week. And when I went there, I saw my little sister crying her eyeballs out. Most of you here probably have kids, and you know when a child is hungry, nothing else matters until there's food in front of them. And my aunt asked me to go to one of my uncle's farm to fetch a cassava. And cassava is like potatoes here. You consider it a potato. And all she would do with that was to cook, put salt on it, and call it all good, and have my sister have something to eat. Well, this uncle, first of all, doesn't like me. He used to refer to me and my siblings as rats due to some of my family events that happened before I was even born, and I don't even know why this man hated me that much. And I was sent to go to his farm. I wasn't familiar with the place, and when I got there, I ended up at his neighbor's farm. There was 3 men working that day. They saw me fetching for that cassava, and they thought I'm stealing the cassava. They tied me up and beat me until I was unconscious because I was a thief. My aunt realized that I've gone for so long, I should be back by now. So she decided to track me. She was the one who found me and brought me home. It took me almost 3 days to regain my strength. And upon all these struggles, my vision of wanting to see a car was still within me. Because I used to hear the stories from the kids that their family were well-to-do, cocoa farmers. They would send their kids into the big schools to go ahead and go to school. And so during their vacationing, they would come to the village and they would do cocoa, they would farm with them and everything. And they used to talk about this magical machine that would carry multiple people for a long distance. And they would have the story, and they would have all the years of the kids in that community. And I used to picture myself, how amazing would it be if I can really see a car? My desire kept growing. My friends and I, as a matter of fact, we actually walked through the bush roads, trying to get to the nearest road to go see if we can find a car. And most of the time we would return and my grandmother would be so upset because she didn't want us to go. It wasn't safe. And then while she used to make a joke and say while we were gone, a car came to the village when we already know there was no road there. And then she would sing this song. Kanabo nya nya nya, o kanabo ye, ye na kanabo nya nya nya, ye kuruwae, to be mawo, and nedi to be abawo, and nedi yanama heba, and nedi yanama heba, and nedi yanama heba, and we would laugh, and we get excited. What my grandmother didn't know, on the other hand, was still my why. I wanted to see a car. Life was rough. The dogs teaching me how to run faster and climb the trees. Being called as worthless by my own uncle. My friends making fun of me because I didn't have a parent. All this was teaching me a courage that I would need when my mother abandoned me in the middle of the street in Antwerp. At age 11 and a half, My mother reappeared in my life in the village and said, I promised you I was going to take you to go see a car. Today is your day. My mother brought me to Belgium in search of looking for a better life for me. I didn't fly. I came by a ship. We arrived at the port. And shortly after we arrived, my mother told me, stay right here. I'm going to go find us food. I'll be right back. I never saw my mother again. Today I want to present to you, this is a shirt here you will consider as a t-shirt or what it is, but you know how cold it is outside right now. Imagine Europe weather is 3 times colder. This is what I was wearing. I made a life decision that I will never throw this shirt away. I was wearing flip-flop. Just imagine yourself. Hungry. And in an unknown world where you don't even understand what people are saying. And don't get me wrong, you white people freaked me out too because I had no idea who you guys were. Life was hard. But while I was going through all that, my wife was even reaffirmed. I was standing right in one corner where there was this big, large window. And as I looked through it, there was cars. Bunch of them. Different types, different shapes, and they are all glory. You would not believe how excited I was. I even forgot at once that I was lost. But then that great and excitement was short-lived. Where's my mother? Unknown to me at the time when my mother and I got separated, my mother had returned back home. Now think about, as a child, learning how to hunt, the dogs, my uncle, coming from an unknown world, meeting all these people that I don't even know, don't speak English, don't speak Dutch, don't speak French, only Twi. And in learning to survive in an unknown world where no one understands you was one of my hardest things I've ever encountered. Come to think of it today, I think there must be somebody or maybe a reason for my life. And I call it purpose, which simply boils down to why you were here. Why are you born? Why do you do what you do? I spent a hard time in the juvenile systems in Europe. And while I was in the juvenile system and staying at this detention center, I have one simple why. I wanted to be heard. I wanted my peers in that place to know who I was, why I was there. And I couldn't even communicate that. Food that I eat in Africa is completely different food than what I was being fed. And up to the date, Look, let me be frankly with all of you here. I know some of us here today are going to be friends. But if you ever invite me to your home, don't feed me spaghetti because I will not come. Simple as that. Because that's what I used to eat in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. So I tell people I have my fair share. But while I was wondering about communicating, wanting to have these people know who I was, my wife changed. My path came across an American diplomat family who were working for the government and overseas in Belgium. They have learned about my story, found me worthy enough to give me some love, and they wanted to adopt me. I didn't even know what adoption was all about. I just thought they were nice people. And through all that hard time, they have me met one of the most greatest men ever walked on the land of the free. They took me to go meet George W. Bush in Brussels, Belgium. I was wearing my African outfit. And this man shows up in a room full of people. And he's shaking it just like every president does. I didn't even know who he was. My new adoption mother was trying to explain this to me, who this guy was. I wasn't getting it. And this guy comes up to me as he's saying, hi to everybody, and stops as he sees me and turns around and looked at me. May I please borrow you for a minute? Please, miss, if you don't mind coming on stage. Because I think it would be cool to see the demonstration. Here I was standing, and he comes to me and he said, "What kind of prince are you?" I'm like, I think he's lost. I'm not a prince. But this family standing right next to me wanted to adopt me. And he says it in a big room of these people, and he said, "Hey everyone, this family wants to adopt this kid. We're going to make it happen, right?" And everybody said, "Yes, Mr. President." And then he turns back to me. And he was trying to shake my hands, but then he let go because he realized I wasn't shaking firm enough. And then he said, "You need to shake firm." But I don't know if you're ever going to get a chance to become an American citizen. But if you do, and if it is that is possible, I want you to be the best citizen you could possibly be. Thank you very much. Here I was, a kid from nowhere. Unknown to me, my parents have decided to go to Ghana to make my adoption papers official. And when they even got there, they have to encounter another problem. And that problem was I was too old to be adopted. So the judge was very brutal to my parents. They said, "We will give you two of his siblings, they are young enough, but him, he's too old." My mother did everything she could. This man said no. Finally, my mother is genius, and I love her for this up to date. She pulled this picture, the picture of me and Condoleezza Rice at that time, and she said, "I don't care, Mr. Judge, what you think. If I don't get these two kids, including this kid, you're going to have to answer to this man." And in her exact words, she said to me, "The lawyer, the judge, the whole entire courtroom froze. And the judge said, if this is a kid who can't even speak English, get to meet the most powerful man on the land of the free, he's worth me signing on this paper. So to date, I still consider myself the oldest kid ever been adopted from Ghana. So we came from a rural village, no running water, nothing. My brother, my sister, and I, overnight, our life changed. We were living in a mansion house, going to one of the most prestigious international schools in Brussels International School in Belgium. What a dream. I still get chills when I think about this today. When we got to the school, my adoptive mother took us to the school. They brought a pen, a paper, and they said, we need to test you and your brother, your intellects. My brother, on the other hand, he had the opportunity to go to the school, the village school there, so he was okay, but a smart kid. 30 minutes was given, and all I could write, my name is Christian Kimball Appiah-Knudsen. That was it. My brother, on the other hand, was just writing like a nut. And I remember looking at what he was writing, and I wanted to copy what he was writing. But I realized it wasn't about me. He was talking about himself. He was talking about his why. He's talking about why is it that he's writing whatever he's writing. And I couldn't copy that because that doesn't fit mine. I was so discouraged to know that my younger brother was that smart that I forgot about being grateful from coming from a place where I was left by my birth mother, going through the detention systems, having a hard time because of that. I don't even like spaghetti now. Sorry for the spaghetti eaters here. And I'm finding an American diplomat's family who find me valuable, worthy enough of their love. And yet, I didn't think about any of that. My new adoptive mother saw this discouragement written all over me. And when we got home that night, my wife changed. My life changed because she introduced me to one of the most powerful men again who ever walked on this land. And that man, to date, I still love to read more about him. This man. She called me to her room and she said, Christian, I saw the discouragement on your face. Let me tell you about this man, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. As a child, he had one why. He wanted to be educated, but he was so poor, he didn't get the chance. So he self-taught himself. Within through all the failures and struggles and everything, he got a law degree and he became a lawyer. Within through those things, he decided he wants something bigger. He wants more for himself. He didn't think about his intellect, his inability to read nor write. He became a public service man and eventually became the 16th President of the United States of America, who fought a great fight so that black people could even be free. Wow. I was inspired. And so to date, this is one of my favorite quotes from Abraham Lincoln. I walk slowly, but I never walk backwards. Do you know what this quote translates to me? Christian, keep your chin up. I understand you're going to fail a lot. Your failures is not end to your goal. You have to keep moving forward. Every time I look at this quote and I look at this man, that is what I see in me. Shortly after all this thing happened, I turned 18. Not even a year being adopted. And my parents packed up my stuff and said, Christian, you're going to the United States to go get your education. Ha, 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 son of a French toast, I call it. Why? I haven't even been adopted for a year. I want to enjoy my family. I want to get to know my new family. And you're sending me away to the United States to go get my education? Well, this story really sort of broke my heart a little bit. But I have to do what I have to do. I was so nervous on the way to the Brussels International Airport that day. And a friend who played a big major in my adoption, her name is Janet. She was an African woman from Ghana who is a big businesswoman. She travels around the world and do business with big people. And she saw my nervousness and she thought she was going to take upon herself to give me an advice. You know how sometimes people give you advice but not the right one, right? And she said, you're going to a long journey. And so you need a food that is going to fill you up. So if anyone asks you, what do you want in the airplane? Say rice, because it will fill you up. Picture me, I wasn't this big. Sitting in an airplane, and massive. People sitting right around me. Me thinking about the unknown venture that I was going to be going in. And I felt a tap on my shoulder. And the lady asks me, sir, do you like coffee or tea? What do you think my response was? Rice, exactly. And everybody started laughing. And between their giggles, this lady that was sitting in front of me leaned into a man sitting right next to her and said, wow, if this kid is going to United States of America, where everybody speaks English, and he can't speak English, he's going to suffer. She didn't even know me. This word stuck with me. He's going to suffer. Why am I going into a new world that I don't know that I'm going to suffer? What is worth suffering for in this world? That was the day I began to understand truly in depth of knowing and doing your why. I came to Utah when I came to the United States because my adoptive father's family lives here, so that maybe they could help me around the time. And when I got here, I could hardly understand the basic subject in school. Well, in Africa, I used to run away from dogs. Not bad. I could do track and field. So I go to BYU. They said, no, you need a high school degree. They mentioned something SAT. I still don't know that word, the definition, so don't ask me. And then I go to UVU, same story. You need a high school degree. I said, okay, fine. GED. GED was one of my biggest trumps I have to ever face when I got to here, because I didn't understand anything that was in it. I failed the GED so much that I came to a point, my friends, even my own family were discouraging me that maybe it's a time, it's enough for pursuing education, it's okay. But what they didn't understand was that this man changed my dream. I wanted part of the American dream, and I wasn't going to let anyone step in that way. GED took me 5 times of trials, and I failed, and finally got it in 2008. And I could remember it just like it was yesterday. I was standing in my room, and I hold that degree upon all this hard time, all these failures. The American dream is coming because I have one why, and that why was I wanted to make sure my children never make excuses for their why in life. And I can never tell my child to ever go to school if I didn't go. I wanted to lead with my life, not with my words. And I wanted to have that piece of that American dream of being a father and provided. I didn't even know who my partner was, but I wanted to make sure that they will find me valuable enough. And so, what would Abraham Lincoln do? Would he go and get just a normal job on the street corner, or would he continue his education? So, in 2008, I enrolled myself at Utah Valley University. And you talking about failures, GED was nothing. I felt so much academic warning became my best friend. And my friends, while I was doing my time there, my friends, who are still my friends today, one used to call me the grandpapa of Utah Valley University. And one even took it further. His newborn baby was born, and he called me up and he said, you know that kid that I just came out, my wife and I just have? She's going to be growing up and coming to Utah Valley University, and you'll be still there. Wait, what? And during my time over there, there was also African kids coming out of all over the African countries, getting their degrees. Not just degrees, masters in few years. And moving on to big companies like Goldman Sachs, Google, Microsoft, all these great companies. And I kept failing. I still got to keep that chin up because I know my why. And I was going to go through it. As disappointing as sometimes I may have failed. I'm proud today to present to you a 2016, 8 good years of failing, I finally succeeded. Some of you are sitting in this room today that know your why. and you feel discouraged because nobody has seen it. And they're telling you you're not good. You can't ever become whoever you want to become. And so they shut you down fast. I want you to understand, if you do not give up on your why, and you keep on doing what it is that you do that makes you smile, that rhythm, the beat that is inside of you, if you could just bring it out of you, despise the failures, you will eventually succeed. Because all these failures that I have to encounter, and all the discouragements that I have to encounter, if I could give you a result of those failures today, and having the opportunity to meet the President of the United States and telling me to be the best citizen I could be, and every single day I wake up in the morning when I'm failing, it goes back into my mind, this man, what if I get to meet him one day and he asks me if I'm still being the best citizen? What would I say? Because I have the opportunity of a lifetime. Today, the American dream I wanted, I have it. I work for the #1 cybersecurity company in the world called Proofpoint. If you don't know what Proofpoint is, please Google Proofpoint. As a middle enterprise account executive, very good living. I have a home of my own and a family of my own. And you know what I also have? Car! Not just one, two. I drove all of them to the parking lot here today. Because the lady who introduced me is my wife. And I want to introduce you to something else too. I couldn't read, couldn't write. And today, this kid was 2 weeks old when I started reading to her. And as I was preparing your speech today, the kid comes to my office and pick up the high performance book and lay there and pretend like she was reading like daddy. And she requires me to read to her every night before she goes to bed. Bedtime stories. Sometimes I mess it up. I'm still learning how to do itty-bitty spiders. Because my desire when I was failing is because I knew one day I was going to be trusted with something valuable to me. That's her, my wife. And I have to instill the desire of her to becoming and doing what she wants to become. And it's my responsibility to ensure she gets that. So I guess my question to you is, what is your why? Do you do your why? Do you do your why every day, whether you feel like it or not? Because I understand something. Upon all this thing that I was doing and my why and I was failing, not only this, you could already know what I've already accomplished. I don't stop there. Because this man told me I will work slowly, but I still got to keep my chin up. The American dream I wanted. Today I have a dream of why. And I'm taking it back home, where I sold my own car to purchase a worthy, good property in West Africa, Ghana. It's a land. And I started a pig farm, a small business within my hometown, where I want to help educate. I want to help the kids in Africa, my hometown. I would like to take it bigger. I want them to also know their why and do their why for themselves. I want somebody like you to go to Africa and find them valuable enough to invest in them. I don't even know where this business is going to be going, but I know as long that I keep doing my why, it doesn't matter where I came from. What matters is where I'm going. So I hope today I inspire you to know your why and to do your why. Thank you for coming.